Good day, everyone. I'm Nestor Kimontayan Jr. from PTLE IA3A, and today we'll discuss the topic about the four-stroke engine cycle and a two-stroke engine cycle. By the way, right now we'll identify and discuss the basic part of an engine. Let's start from the intake port. Intake port. Intake port is a passage or opening in an intended combustion engine cylinder head that allows the air and fuel mixture to flow into the engine cylinder. Next is the inlet valve. This is the inlet valve. Yan, inlet valve ang tawag yan. What is inlet valve? Inlet valve is a critical engine component responsible for controlling the flow of air-fuel mixture into the cylinders. Its precise operations ensure that proper engine performance, efficiency, and emission. Number 3, the piston rings. What is piston rings? Piston ring is a critical component that seals the gap between the piston and the cylinder wall, preventing engine oil from leaking into the combustion chamber and combustion gases from escaping into the engine's crankcase. Next, the piston. This is the piston here. What is piston? Piston is a critical component that moves up and down in the cylinder, driven by the explosive force of the fuel. It plays a crucial role in the four-stroke engine cycle. Next, let's talk about the crankcase. Crankcase. What is crankcase? Crankcase is the housing that surrounds the crankshaft and provides a reservoir for the engine oil. It plays a crucial role in protecting the engine moving parts and facilitating lubrication. Crankcase. Then, let's move on the exhaust port. Exhaust port is the passage or opening in an internal combustion engine cylinder head that allows exhaust gases to escape from engine cylinder. Exhaust port. Next is the cylinder head. What is a cylinder head? Cylinder head is a critical component of internal combustion engine that sits on the top of the engine block, sealing the cylinder and facilitating the flow of air and fuel mixture and exhaust gas. Cylinder head. This is the cylinder head right here. And next naman natin ay ang exhaust valve. Exhaust valve natin ito. Same. Yan pala ito. Yan ang exhaust valve. Yan ang exit tunes. Exhaust valve. Exhaust valve, these control the flow of air and fuel in the cylinder and exhaust gases out of the cylinder. Ito lumalabas yung mga exhaust gas natin sa exhaust valve dito. Here. Now, next naman natin ay ang cylinder. What is cylinder? Cylinder, these are the chambers where the magic happens, where fuel is burned to produce power. The cylinder are arranged in a line or in a V shape. Cylinder. Yan, cylinder. Let's talk about the crank pin. Crank pin. Let's talk about the crank. What is crank? Crank pin here. Crankpin is a cylindrical protrusion on the crankshaft that serve as the bearing surface of the connecting rod. It converts the ups and down. It converts the ups and down motion of the position in a rotary motion. Now, let's move on to the cylindrical block. The cylindrical block is the main structure component of an internal combustion engine, housing the cylinders, pistons, and crankshaft. It provides a strong and rigid foundation for the engine moving parts. Repeat. This is the basic part of an engine: the intake port, the inlet valve, the piston ring, piston, and the crankshaft, the exhaust valve, the cylinder head, the exhaust valve, the cylinder, the crankpin, and the cylinder block. Next is the crankcase. Crankcase is the housing that surrounds the crankshaft and provides a reservoir for the engine oil. It plays a crucial role in protecting the engine's moving parts and facilitating lubrication. The crankcase. Last but not least is the spark plug. Spark plug. What is spark plug? Spark plug is a critical engine component that ignites the air and fuel mixture in a combustion chamber, generating a power propulsion. And this is the basic parts of an engine. Good day everyone, I'm Nestor T. Montaya Jr. from PTLE 3A. And at this moment, we'll talk about the 4-stroke engine cycle and the 2-stroke engine cycle. The 4-stroke engine cycle is a 4-stroke cycle experiencing 4 piston movement over 2 engine revolution per each cycle. While the 2-stroke cycle has 2 piston movement over 1 revolution for each cycle. This moment, we'll talk about the 4-stroke engine cycle. This is an illustration of a 4-stroke engine cycle. We'll talk about the intake, compression, power, and exhaust. The first cycle is the intake. In intake, piston move from TDC to BDC, or top dead center to bottom dead center. Then, inlet valves open, fuel and air are mixed together. Air and fuel mixtures come inside. Intake valve open and the exhaust valve closed. And the next stage is the compression. Compression consists of the piston traveling back up. Both intake and exhaust valves are being closed. Air and fuel mixture is now being compressed. The next stage is the power. In the fourth, the four-stroke engine cycle, we'll talk about the power. Power, the piston is now at the TDC, or top dead center. In our illustration, the piston is now at the TDC. Right now, spark plug ignites, creating a spark that ignites the compressed air fuel mixture. Explosion is created and the piston is forced back down. Now the spark plug ignites. The piston is now being forced to back down. Inlet valve closed. Exhaust valve is closed. Hence the power stroke, both valves are still closed. When the piston reaches the top of its stroke, the spark plug emits a spark to ignite the gasoline. The gasoline changes. The gasoline charge in the cylindrical explodes, driving the piston to bottom down center. Inlet valve closed, exhaust valve closed. The piston is being forced downward. Now let's talk about the exhaust. Exhaust stroke piston is traveling up. The exhaust stroke piston is traveling up. Intake valve closed. Exhaust gases being pushed out by the piston. As you can see here, there's a lot of gases. Now, this piston is traveling up while the inlet valve closed. The exhaust valve is now open. Excess gases being pushed out by the piston. They're being pushed out. Well, see, all gases being taken out to the exhaust valve. Once the piston hits the bottom of its stroke, the exhaust valve opens and the exhaust leaves the cylinder to go out the tailpipe. And the cycles continues. Intake, compressed, power, and exhaust. That's the four-stroke engine cycle. Intake, valve open, gas and fuel mixed together, then compressed, inlet valve closed, exhaust valve closed, then piston move to the top dead center, then the power explode, and the piston move powerfully, moving down, creating gases. And next, exhaust. The piston is now traveling up. Inlet valve closed. Now the exhaust valve is now open. All the gases is being pulled out. and the cycle repeat. Intake, compression, power, and exhaust. Now, let's talk about the two-stroke engine cycle. The two-stroke engine cycle consists of two stages. Stage 1, intake and compression. Stage 2, power and exhaust. This is a simple illustration of the two-stroke engine cycle. First, the intake. First is the intake. The piston moves downward, creating a vacuum that draws a mixture of air and fuel in the cylinder through the intake port. This is the cylinder. It's moving downward. Compression. The intake port closes. This is the intake port. Close. The intake port closes and the piston moves upward, compressing the air fuel mixture. The stage 2 is the power and exhaust. The spark plug ignites, the piston moving upward, and then the spark plug ignites the compressed air fuel mixture, generating power that push the piston downward. Next is the exhaust. The exhaust, the piston uncover the exhaust port. This is the exhaust port. The black arrow symbolizes exhaust gas. Exit exhaust gas flow to the exhaust port. And the exhaust gas exit onto the cylinder. That's the basic two-stroke engine.